Well, hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to take a look at the new Doublade and also the evolution line, but to be real honest, we're only here for the Doublade and we're pairing it with the Joltik engine. This has been a really interesting deck to test and I've been really looking forward to potentially getting a video out on this deck, and I think it's about ready with a change to the A spec, which I've done, and it's been really fun to test. So as per usual, in the description below there's going to be visual links, double the deck list, and also the Discord as well in the description and everything like that. The deck list is also available to copy in the description below, as is the timestamp, double the games that we'll play, and of course the outro, what I think of the deck. So we actually have to scroll down because there's that many Pokemon on this list. There's the Stage 1 Doublade, which is going to be our main attacker in this list. Of course, we have the attack Weaponized Swords. Reveal any number of Honedge, Doublade, and Aegislash from your hand, and this attack does 60 damage for each card you revealed in this way. Key note there is revealed. We don't have to discard them, we don't have to do anything like that, we just have to reveal them. Obviously, 60 times is a really good modifier, but obviously we do need to power these guys up. But thankfully, it's double colourless energy that we need. So you can play the likes of Joltik to obviously power up with grass and electric energy and things like that. What that also means is I can play a cheeky Galvantula if we run into a Mega Absol box deck or anything similar. But, well, this card's good anyway, so we might as well play it as a backup attacker. Obviously, we do have to play some Genesect, which could be our downfall with this list, but you kind of have to because, we don't really find evolution Pokemon without Genesect, and, well, Genesect's just busted anyway, so we might as well. If we can get 2 Genesects established, that's basically 240 damage every single turn, even if we're hand disrupted, which is pretty good for a single prizer. But of course, we do have the bench protection of Shaymin and Psyduck in the hope of dealing with Pult and of course Wellspring, because we are vulnerable to Wellspring with just 100 HP on our Doublades. We also have Aegislash, which we can attack with in this list. We do have the option of Metal Slash, but realistically, we're probably not going to be attacking with this card. We would need the 1 metal energy that we're running, plus an ignition energy. And, for 230, I'd rather just invest the ignition energy onto a Doublade and, actually attack with that instead. But if push comes to shove, we could use Aegislash if needs be. Obviously, we're playing Sacred Ash, which I think this is the first deck on this channel that I'm actually playing Sacred Ash with. And while it makes complete sense, we shuffle up to 5 Pokemon from our discard pile into your deck. Pretty simple. And then, of course, we do have the likes of Energy Recycler as well if we need to Joltik again, which we can definitely do in some matchups if it needs be. But otherwise, this is a pretty, simple and pretty, what's the word? It's a pretty normal Doublade list, apart from, the Joltiks and stuff, because not many people are playing Joltik. But honestly, I've really enjoyed this list, and hopefully we get to do some work with it. So, let's go to the deck list, let's have a proper look. And welcome to the deck list. This has been a really fun deck to test. My only concern, of course, is the fact that we mainly rely on the likes of, Genesect and things like that to obviously find, our evolutions and things like that. You could increase the Poké Pad count, same with the Brock Scouting. You could obviously add Dawns as well. That could be potentially something. But I've not really felt the need to change the list in that context. Brock Scouting could definitely be Dawns, I think. But Brock's lets us grab Genesects, and obviously Genesects can obviously grab us our evolutions anyway. And if we can get double Genesect down, that just feels really good. But there's a lot to consider with this list, and I don't think this is the finished 60, so to speak. But honestly, I'm really looking forward to this, and obviously we do have Hildas in the list as well, so maybe Dawn plus, Hildas, or, like I say, the Brock Scouting with the Hildas has been perfectly fine in testing, but I don't know, maybe something to think about. So of course we're playing a 4-4-4 line of our swords, is the easiest way to pronounce these guys. Obviously, we do have 4 of the 70 HP Honedges, the Doublades, and the Aegislash. Obviously, if we can... Obviously, we wouldn't have all 12, because we'd need at least 1 to be a Doublade. But if we can get 12 of these guys into our hand, we're doing 720 damage. The chance of that is quite low, but, the thought is there. Obviously, like I said, we do have the option of Metal Slash. We are playing 1 Metal Energy. It's mainly for a Crispin target, I'll be brutally honest. But, we can do Metal Slash with, Metal plus Ignition. but we're probably not going to be attacked by this Aegislash today, I'll be brutally honest. Then, of course, we do have 2 Joltiks, 1 Galvantula, 2 Genesects, 2 Latias, 1 Fez, 1 Shaymin, and of course 1 Psyduck. Then we have 4 Lillies, 2 Brocks, 2 Boss, 2 Crispin, 2 Hildas. Hildas is busted because obviously we can grab Ignition plus our A-Spec Enriching. I'll explain my reasoning for the Enriching later. Then, of course, 2 Poké Pad, 2 Night Stretcher, 2 Pokégear, 2 Ultra Ball, 2 Sacred Ash, 1 Energy Recycler, 1 Air Balloon, 4 Ignition Energy, 4 Lightning Energy, 4 Grass Energy, 1 Metal Energy, and finally the A-Spec of the deck, Enriching Energy. This may seem like an odd choice, because obviously we don't really have a way to, recycle using this energy. That's not really why it's here. It's mainly here for just a little bit of extra draw. And, well, it's an energy card, so even if we only get, a bit of value off of Joltik, so for example, if we prize, let's say, 3 Grass Energy or 3 Lightning Energy, even if we're just accelerating 2 Lightning plus a Grass to our swords, we could attach Enriching, draw 4, possibly even draw into, extra evolutions or Genesects. And like I said, it provides colorless energy, so the deck doesn't really care, It's one of those things. We don't really care what, energy types we're running, as long as we're accelerating with Joltik, and, we have Crispin as well. But, playing Enriching Energy just felt like the most common sense one, because obviously we don't really need to play Max Rock, because we have Sacred Ash, and we also have Energy Recycler. Energy Recycler would then mean we're allowed to use, Joltik, but, I just thought Enriching Energy was the best solution, and so far in testing, it has been. We don't get to recycle it, but it's a bit like when Mega Binary was obviously running around, well, Mega Loppity, sorry, was running around with this card. They didn't play it for, recycling it, they just played it for extra draw. That's literally why they played it. So I thought, well, I'll apply that same logic, and so far, it's been pretty good so far. Probably my only, obviously I've mentioned about the, the large amount of 2 prizes in the list, which obviously could be a concern. My only thing is, like I said, Dawns could obviously go in here, but I think Brock's is better, because we can Brock for double Genesect, which in my opinion is better, because then Brocking for double Genesect means we can grab 4 evolution Pokemon, and then we're doing full 240 damage with the Doublades, before we even consider the likes of drawing off Ignition or Enriching Energy, Fez for turn, things like that. And I thought it just made the most sense, and so far it's definitely made the most sense in testing. I did originally play Max Rod as my A-Spec, but I'll be honest with you, I didn't use it once in testing, so I didn't bother keeping it. I thought Enriching was just the best solution. So let's get to a match and see how we do. And welcome to our first game. We're paired up against someone in Giratina rank. Hopefully they're not playing Zygarde, because I did see that on their sleeves. I mean, we do have Shaymin, but that doesn't stop, Genesects being hit. Do I want to go first? No, I don't, because I want to Joltik. Think of this as like a budget Joltik box, which I am thinking of trying like a Joltik box post-rotation, but I'm not sure how good it would be. That's the thing, I'm not sure how good it would be. We actually do have a pretty good starting hand. Like, this is not bad at all. Obviously, we need to be careful if, like, they do have, Zygarde as there. I mean, given the username, Zygarde2105, plus the Zygarde sleeves, I would be very disappointed if they weren't playing Zygarde, but let's see. Let's see what we're facing. And yep, it's most likely Zygarde, because that's a Binnacle. Okay, that's fine. Let's see what we get. Like I said, we can go Ultra Ball away in Lillie's and Night Stretcher. We can grab a Latias, Poké Pad for a Joltik, and then Lillie's for turn. And yep, there he is. Mega Zygarde already. Obviously, we need to be careful of nullifying 0, but the second attack, well, the first attack, Gaia Wave, doesn't really bother us, so that's at least something. So yeah, we're going to get rid of Lillie's plus a Night Stretcher. We're going to grab ourselves... Are we seriously prized double Latias? Are you kidding me right now? That's not a... In fact, it is a problem, because we prize double Latias, and we can't get a Joltik off this turn. Great. Right, well that's definitely changed things then. I mean, I can wait a turn, but like, that just feels rough. That is just my luck. And I think we've also priced Shaymin as well, which is, again, just proving my luck today. Alright, well, let's go for the Lilies anyway. It's just my luck, innit? I can Pokégear. We can get that Crispin. And I'll cut for 10. Why not? Does it matter? What's Barbaricle's HP? I'm not really sure. And plus, we couldn't retreat out anyway, so before anyone says you could have retreated this, that, and the other, I couldn't, unfortunately. Sadly, I can't do that because Honedge has a 2 retreat cost. And of course, they have the judge. So let's see, we prized double Latias, and we prized Shaymin, which in this matchup specifically is going to be key. Alright, well there's Enriching Energy, so that's good. We can get that value off now. Okay, that's not too great. I could Hilda, but then again, I'm not really doing anything. I think I'll just Lilies. Even with the Enriching draw, that didn't really help us there. Do I cut for 10 again? I mean, I could. I'll evolve the bench one. I can Air Balloon this now, but then I still don't get value off my Joltik. So I think, yeah, we'll just Air Balloon it for now. We'll cut for 10 again, because then we can Crispin, obviously get an energy onto this Honedge, and then attach an energy to the Doublade on the bench. Even though we've had some really crap prizing, I think we'll be fine. Because they're not really doing a lot. Like, yeah, they can Gaia Wave and obviously do their thing, but I don't really care. Yeah, 130. So this the 10 swing was actually relevant, which is good. They did just attach for turn, though. There's an Air Balloon. They're going to free retreat into the Zygarde. They're going to go for the Zygarde attack now, which is fine. Does mean I have to play Sacred Ash for turn, though, but I'm fine with that. I have to Sacred Ash plus Crispin, so yeah. There's Stone Arms to the Zygarde. Like I said, this is just a PTCGL way, apparently. You prize the most important things in the matchups that you're getting. You know, I tried to record Megabox earlier, and I was just running into some of the worst prizing I've ever seen in my life. Alright, so we need to well, top decking that energy is actually going to help us here. So we'll do that. Poké Pad. Did we have Shaymin? No, we didn't. I didn't think we did. Realistically, he's probably going to go for Nullifying 0, which is bad news for me. So, I think I grab a Honedge. And then I'll attach to the Joltik, and I will Jolting Charge. I really don't have anything going on here. And that's just unfortunate the way it is. But what I do when I prize double Latias and I prize my Shaymin, like, what are the chances of that happening in the same game? You know, that's just really unfortunate. And no, my lord, they're going to get 4 heads on Nullifying 0 and just wipe me out. There's a Meowth, so they're going to get this, you know, their last-ditch catch. They're going to get their Lilies, which means we are getting Nullifying 0 this turn. I can just see it coming. Great. Ultra Ball, they're probably going to grab another Barbaracle. Yep, that's fine. There's another Barbaracle, and they're going to play Lilies for turn and get 6. I've just got to hope they whiff the Nullifying, but come on, it's Zygarde. They play like 12 energy. If they don't, you know, and well, there's a Fighting Gong, so that's already one piece of the puzzle. Yeah, this is just how PTCG Live has treated me lately, you know. There's a Rocky Fighting Energy, they can then Stone Arms to the Zygarde. And they're going to Nullifying 0. Let's see how many heads they get. Tails, heads, tails, tails. So they take out the one with the energy, which is annoying. But it's fine, we can Crispin for turn, but I don't really want to do that. And even if we had Galvantula, we would be kind of screwed. There's Fez, excellent. I do need that. So I'm going to Fez, and in fact I can Crispin first, it's fine. So I'll evolve to Doublade. I'll then Crispin. Get some energies down. Then I Fez, because then I don't, you know, clog the deck with anything. There's Genesect. Could we get there? I'm not sure. No, we can't. We can go double Genesect, though, and put 240 on this guy. So we can definitely do that. It's just a case of, you know, we don't really have a lot going for us outside of this. I'm going to definitely Energy Recycler, though. Then I'll Genesect. We want to mainly fin the Aegislashes because they're not too useful. I mean, we might have to use one at this rate. And then I'll weaponize swords for 240. And we've just got to hope now that they don't bonk our Doublade on the face and then, you know, we're turned behind. I mean, if they do whiff the nullifying 0 on some of the guys, it's fine. Battle Cage, that's fine. Battle Cage doesn't bother us because we're attacking with raw damage. But obviously we don't play a candy, so that's the only thing about Aegislash is we don't play a candy. So we would need to evolve this into a Doublade first and then into an Aegislash. And yep, they're going to go for nullifying 0. So they knock out the active, they hit the bench, and they take out the Joltik. So they take 2 prizes there. Right, well that's not good, but hopefully that should be the end of their little shenanigans. But they could just win with Boss Soul Rock, so yeah. This is what I mean, we prize Shaymin, like, we literally cannot do anything. So Brock Scout in, grab a Honedge, and literally just a Honedge, because I don't really have any other choices here. First for 3. There's an Ignition, that'll do, I just need to attack this turn. Yeah, we're just going to weaponize swords. We need to reveal 2. And take out the Mega Zygarde for 3 prizes. They literally just need Boss plus Fighting Energy on their Soul Rock, and they just win. If they somehow don't see that line, this opponent is definitely, you know, a paid actor that I haven't paid. There's another Zygarde. I mean, if we get a boss, we could potentially go for the boss on the Zygarde, but we need 6, and we could definitely do that. Stone Arms. Stone Arms. Do they have another attack? Fighting Energy. They're going to manually attack, so they can get the Gaia Wave off, but the Gaia Wave's irrelevant because we still, you know, manage to do stuff. Oh, they've got the secret box. Please do not tell me you have, like, Judge as your supporter. They got a boss. Yeah, they have boss for game. Of course they do. See, this is the way PTCGL has been treating me lately. You know, they have... We didn't have our Shaymin. Our start was terrible. And we prized double Latias. Like, what more can I do in that matchup, you know? The fact that they're just able to just bonk my bench and then they could just, you know, boss for game, like, what can I do in that instance? It's ridiculous, but again, that is just proving how PTCGL has been treating me, but hey, at least he lived up to his name, I guess. Let's go to a game 2. And welcome back to game 2. That was a very unfortunate first loss, but again, a single prize deck that plays what it should to answer said bench sniping. You prize it, and you also prize the chance to actually get into your main energy acceleration Pokemon. I mean, what more can I do? I did the best I could there. I at least took out a Zygarde, but I couldn't really do a lot with it. But it's fine. We do start the Shaymin this time, but no Marlock, I'm not going to need it in this match. I'm going to need Psyduck. Grass and Psychic. That doesn't really tell me anything. But yeah, that's just the PTCGL way, unfortunately, and that's just the way it is. If it had whiffed the boss, or at least in that case with the secret box, we would have a game with Hilda, because we'd have just gone Hilda for an evolution plus, you know, Ignition Energy, and went from there. But let's see what we're up against. Like I say, Psychic and Grass doesn't really tell me much. Could be a Clefairy box, in which case we hit Clefairy for weakness, so we only need to reveal 2. But let's see what we're facing. We'll take the 1, that's a Hilda, that's useful. And it is Clefairy. Okay. Now, Shaymin will still have value because, well, yeah, it is Clefairy box. Shaymin will still have value because they could play Wellspring. So we need to keep Shaymin alive. But let's see what we do. Because like I say, we can hit these Clefairies for weaknesses, well, for weakness, so I'm not really too worried. We just need to keep up, the attack center of him. So we can actually enriching the Joltik, which is pretty nice. So we can definitely do that. So let's see what we get. Night Stretcher, not too relevant. I'm going to get rid of a Grass, and I'm going to get rid of a Boss. We're not going to really need Boss in this matchup. Okay, we've actually got the Latias this time, so we can go Latias and then Poké Pad for, what we need. So Poké Pad, grab a Joltik. Now we just not got a whiff of the Ignition, well, the Enriching Energy, eh? Let's see what we get. Okay, that's pretty good. We get a Brock Scout in as well. So we'll go Genesect, Honedge. Our luck is turning around a little bit. That's good. That's what we like to see. So then we will free retreat into the Joltik and Jolting Charge. And obviously we threw away one Grass, so we did, have the issue there, but I can deal with that. I can Night Stretcher it back. But that is a pretty good start. That is a pretty good start. Obviously, Clefairy could just bonk my Joltik with the Enriching Energy, but this isn't why we play Enriching Energy. Like I said, we only play Enriching Energy so we can, draw extra cards. And as you saw there, it made a massive difference to us. And like I said, we could just bonk these Clefairies for just two, for just two reveals. And that's pretty good. It means less resource. It means we only really need one Genesect for most of the game. We will have to worry about, obviously, Wellspring, but the Teal Mask is not a threat, because we actually resist Grass, because we're a Steel type. But, like I say, if they don't have Wellspring and they don't deal with Shaymin, I'm completely fine with this. Because we're going to take 2 prizes here. We just need to keep swords. That's all we need to do. And technically, if they play a Grass-Sweet Pokemon, we could use Joltik later with, obviously, Galvantula, but they're probably just going to attack into the Joltik. But again, if they do that, I just go Hilda, and, in fact, I don't even need to Hilda, I probably just Lilies. But yeah, this is actually one of our better matchups, as long as we have Shaymin. This is not a difficult matchup for us at all. Do they have the energy? Because they did attach here. I think they've whiffed. They're not Fez. Yeah, they're not Fez yet. Then again, no, they don't need to Fez because I'm not taking a knockout. Oh, that's brave. You're giving me Kang. Okay. I can understand why you would, but you're parking a 3-prizer in front of a single prize archetype that only needs 5. So, yeah, not the best choice here, Chief, I will say. I think literally, just in case Latias gets gusted and sniped, I'm just going to put that on the Genesect. I'm just going to Lilies. I don't need to attach anything here. Okay, we didn't really get anything, but I'm not too worried. So I think I just take Doublades. I mean, I can plink for 60, but I don't really need to. I could just Jolting Charge and thin the deck. That could be an option. I'm not really doing anything here. That's the thing. Yeah, I'm just gonna plink it for 60. I'm gonna be brutally honest. In fact, no, I'm not even gonna do that. I'm just gonna leave it in the active. I don't care. If you take out a Doublade, I don't care because then you give me Fez value. So I don't care. Realistically, you shouldn't do this, but I'm not worried. Like I said, I'm not worried in the slightest. They're not willing to attack with Clefairy. They're not really doing anything with their Kang. So again, I'm not really worried. I can afford to do this, and just go from there. Really, like this matchup isn't too difficult as long as we can keep pressure. Yeah, I shouldn't have evolved this Doublade and I should have plinked this for, 60, but again, not a big deal. We can Lillies, you know, we can do all that stuff. We can even attach the metal energy to this Doublade and threaten the, you know, well, in fact, would it have been relevant? No, it wouldn't have been relevant. I was just thinking about it. They do have the Pearl, which could make things a little bit more tricky, but that's fine. Because again, they still need to obviously keep up this Clefairy train back to back. Because now all we need to do is take out the Clefairy, take out Kang, and take out one of their 2 prizes, and we win. So I'm not really worried. So let's see what they do here. Like, again, I'm not worried in the slightest for this matchup. You know, like, if they have a Grass Weak attacker, I'll take it. They're going to boss. They're probably going to go for the Genesect, which is unfortunate. No, they're going for Latias. That's fine. That is fine. Because what that means is I still can, you know, get value. This is the problem. And like I said, this is the main thing that holds this archetype back, is the fact that we have to play 2 prizes. There's no sugarcoating it. You have to play 2 prizes. But still. Let's promote the Genesect. And let's draw for turn. There's Psyduck. Psyduck is not useful to me right now. So we'll Night Stretcher back that Grass Energy so we can shuffle it into the deck. Then I will... I just need to Lillies for turn, don't I? Yeah, it's fine. Let's see what we get off of that. There's Galvantula. Galvantula's not too relevant, but I can still bonk this Clefairy. So I don't need to bench this second Genesect yet. So I'll Metallic Signal, fin some Aegislashes. Then Fury Retreat into a Doublade. I'll evolve the Galvantula anyway, just so we have the option, I guess. And then we will weaponize swords, revealing 2 Aegislash. And that is the knockout. Obviously, we're only taking 1 prize card because of that Clefairy, but I am not worried. But now you can see the major concern about playing 2 prizes in this sort of list is the fact that, you know, as long as we keep our bench thin, we should be okay. Because they need to play Area 0 in order to benefit. They've got another boss, which means they're not using their support for turn. And even if they attack with Clefairy now, they need... Well, in fact, what do they need? They need Area 0 plus 2 Pokemon plus an energy. Or a way to set, like, search an energy. There's the Area 0. Do they have the Pokemon that they need? There's a Baneri, so they even have Mega Lopunny in that list, which is concerning. And they're going to Unfair Stamp. That's fine. That's completely fine. There's an Aegislash, so already that's 1 piece of the puzzle. I wonder why I mean, the Mega Lopunny actually makes sense, because it does deal with, you know, Cornerstone and the like, and it is a cheap attacker in this matchup. But, yeah, with us having to play Genesect, it really makes us fall short in some matchups. There's Teal Mask getting a energy attached. They literally just need 1 more Pokemon, and then they can bonk with a Clefairy. Let's flip the script. They're going to get it, because that's just the way my luck has been lately on PTCG Live. I don't know if it's just because it's middle of the week and PTCG Live's just like, yeah, we're not throwing you a bone today. But hopefully they don't know their Clefairy math. Because if they don't, then that's good for us. They could even give me the Baneri and make me go on to odd prizes, but, well, back onto even prizes, I should say. But, like I said, this is the problem with playing Genesects. And there we go, they even have the telepathic psychic energy. So they can get even more Pokemon established. They're just going to grab another Clefairy. So now they can attack, which is obviously bad for us because they're taking 2 prizes, not 1. They're going to energy switch probably one of the energies onto the Lilith Clefairy here. Have they whiffed the Pearl? Because the Pearl could actually matter here. The Pearl could matter. But then again, we're not really doing a lot outside of drawing here, which is bad. Obviously, they can bonk us with Clefairy now. And there's the knockout. Yeah, this matchup just felt like... I thought at first this matchup was going to be pretty good, but... You know, like I said, the fact that we're having to play 2 prizes in a single prize archetype is just really holding us back. And with that draw, I can't really do anything, because if I'd have attached the metal here, I could have obviously gone for the metal slash, but, you know, you don't really think about that sort of thing. I'm just going to scoop it up, and we'll go to game 3, because I can't do anything here, unfortunately. We've just gotten off to we got off to a good start, but like I said, the fact that they could just keep bossing our 2 prizes was just the main thing that holds this archetype back, and it's kind of why I think this archetype needs a little bit more work. But anywho, let's go to game 3. And welcome back to game 3. That was, again, really unfortunate, and we keep pairing into people from 500 rank onwards, which, you know, the matchmaker's just proving again that it doesn't want to throw me a bone. You know, we had what should be one of our good matchups, which is Mega Zygarde, because all it does is just hope that they can bonk you with Nullified Zero. And we just had a really bad start because we just prized everything that was important. Game 2, we was able to get something established, but, like, once they started bossing our 2 prizes, we just ran out of steam. And that was the main thing that held us back there. But hopefully, the Enriching Energy, which we've started this 3 times now, gets to prove its value even more, because we can Poké Pad plus Brock Scout in, which is pretty good. But no, I don't know. I just don't think this archetype is as good as people thought it was going to be, you know? And this is going to be a Mega Frostlass Monkey Dory deck. So we're probably not going to want to attach this unless we have to. That is fine. So we'll Poké Pad, grab ourselves a Honedge. So we can grab a Joltik off of this, so that's fine. We have got Shaymin, but Shaymin's not too relevant. So that's fine. Horizon looks okay, so that's good. So we'll go Honedge, we'll go for a Brox, grab you and you. Bench you, bench you, bench you. Attach Joltik, because I don't really want to use Enriching Energy unless I have to. And Jolting Charge. Bam bam, bam bam. Bob, 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 bob. And there we go, not a bad start. Like I said, I don't really want to use Enriching Energy unless I have to, because this is sort of the, you know, this is the sort of thing you have to think about. I mean, does Galvantula have any use in this matchup? He does, but we'd have to find it. Oh, it's Grimmsnarl, so he definitely has some use, but... Okay, this could be interesting. Like, we could benefit from this, but obviously they could play Mega Frostlass, but the chance of that is quite low, because obviously they need to play Water Energy. And they can't play something like Luminous, because, well, Luminous doesn't exist anymore. They're going to grab a Yveltal, as some call it. I call it Yveltal, because it's just easier. There's Spikemuth. They're going to grab the Grimmsnarl, so they're already threatening a Grimmsnarl. Lovely. We don't like to see that. And obviously we need to be worried about Frostlass in this matchup, because obviously that affects our 2 prizes, which, again, is part of the reason why this archetype is potentially an issue. So we will... Is it safe to Enriching and then Lilies? I mean, I'll just take the Enriching for later. Now that I know it's not a Mega Frostlass deck, it should be fine. That is a whiff, but we obviously do get the Genesect, so that's fine. So I'll grab one of each. Do I have an energy in hand? No, I don't. I mean, I could evolve this, but after I mean, to be fair, it doesn't really matter because I have the energy. Do I take out this monkey here? I could. But then that makes my prize map a little bit awkward later, but I'll deal with it. I'll definitely evolve this into Galvantula, though, because that way we'll protect him from a 2-prize turn. And, yeah, I will just weaponize swords and take out the monkey. Reveal 2 Pokemon in hand, and take it out. I'll take it. Obviously, Galvantula is a threat to him in this matchup, because obviously it hits Marnie's Grimmsnarl for weakness, and because of Marnie's Grimmsnarl having an ability, we actually one-shot it with the Galvantula, but we need a Grass Energy on it. Because we attach the Lightning, and not the Enriching Energy, we actually benefit there. So Galvantula will actually have some use in this matchup. But realistically, they're going to go for my Latias, or they're going to go for Genesect. Probably the Latias, because it's Dark Weak, it's easy to kill it. But like I said, this is just the main thing that I think is holding archetype back is the fact that it's a single prize archetype that attacks for single prizes, but you have to play 2 prizes. It's like a lot of 2 prizes. You know, you have to play Genesect, you have to play Latias in case you start your Genesect. You know, you could maybe play more Air Balloons in the list instead of Latias, but, you know, that's a tool card, and Jamming Tower does see some play. And it looks like my opponent has possibly rage quit, so we might even get a win in this video. They're going to give it a snow run, which is fine. Let's see what they do. I think they've rage quit, and if so, I'll take it. Nope, they haven't. It just took them a while to decide. That's fine. There's Morgrim. That's also fine. And of course they play Unfair Stamp, because everyone and their mother's playing it. Aegislash Sacred Ash, that's fine. Yeah, this matchup, again, just feels pretty rough, even with, you know, if it was to play Shaymin, which we do play Shaymin, but, well, I thought it was Mega Frostlass, and, well, Mega Frostlass is, you know, it's a good card, but it won't be able to, you know, bunker a Shaymin, but because it's a Marnie's Grimmsnarl deck, I may need to try and find my Shaymin, but yeah. I'm going to evolve into Frostlass, but even with weakness, that's fine. But yeah, now we're not really doing much, which is the main thing that holds this archetype back, is again, you have to play 2 prizes to find, you know, the bits and bobs that you need. Did it go double Frostlass? That's fine, because I can just bonk it with 1 weaponized swords attack, and because for those that don't know, Frostlass is Metal Weak, because it's part Ice type, but hopefully that's all they're doing, because they appear to be quite upset with this match. But they really don't have a right to be, because this is a really good matchup for them if I don't find my Shaymin, so, you know. I mean, yeah, I have the Galvantula, but I only put this in because I suspected I'd see something like Grimmsnarl. You know, Zygarde technically can be hit for weakness, although it'd only do 100. You know, well, it'd do 260, sorry, because of the, you know, if I had lightning attached. And they're just gonna rage quit pass, I'm assuming. Obviously, the damage is starting to build up on my 2 prizes, as well as my Galvantula, so this is really looking bad. I might as well get value out my Genesect. Do I want to grab double Aegislash? I'll just grab an Aegislash and a Doublade. And I will weaponize swords, reveal 1 Aegislash. Fine by me. Fine by me. There's an Ignition Energy, so that could be relevant if we find the Metal Energy later. If we need it, of course. I think my opponent has rage quit, because they didn't really do anything, and yeah, they're just going to concede. I'm really not sure why they did, because that is a pretty good matchup for them. I didn't find my Shaymin. Obviously, I rely on 2 prizes with abilities to obviously, you know, pivot and obviously find my evolutions, but hey, I'll take a win against a terrible matchup if they're just going to scoop, you know? So yeah, I think that pretty much summarizes my thought on this deck. I think it's a good deck, but it's just held back, and it's not the deck's fault. Yeah. I mean, those games perfectly demonstrated it. I mean, like I say, game 1, we didn't get set up, and we just got bunked, because, you know, that's just the way it is. Game 2, we got set up, but we got bunked, so we have 2 prizes. And game 3, they, for some reason, rage quit, when that's a really good matchup for them if I do not find my Shaymin, but anyway. So, what did I think to the deck? I think the Joltik approach is probably the best way. You know, you're getting 2 swords set up in 1 turn. You only really want to have 2 Honedges down at any given time, because the Honedge also counts for the damage, for those that didn't know. It does count towards the damage of the Doublade. Shame we didn't get to use, you know, the, what's it called? The Aegislash's attack. We could have potentially used it in the second game, but I didn't attach the Metal Energy. But yeah, like I said, this archetype is interesting, and I think it's a really cool little archetype. But even with, you know, the supporter search, the Genesects, the issue is finding enough of them when you are hand disrupted via Unfair Stamp, which is only to 2, not the typical 4 of Judge, or, you know, Harlequin with 3, Lucian with 3 as well, or, you know, 5 if obviously you don't get heads on Harlequin, or 6 with Lucian. You know, it's a lot harder to obviously make that sort of plan work. But at the same time, you've got to consider, You know, the Joltik approach gives us an extra attacker, which obviously is the Galvantula. We didn't get to use it, which I'd have loved to have bonked Marnie Grimmsnarl with it, but it's fine. And like I said, the fact that we prize so much important stuff in Game 1 just proves that PTCGL is not throwing us a bone from time to time, but I think the Enriching Energy approach was definitely the best way to do it. Yes, we couldn't recycle it, but the whole point of the deck is obviously we need to, you know, get as many Doublades, Honedges, Aegislashes in hand, and Enriching Energy, whilst also covering our attack cost, gives us 4 extra cards, which, you know, I'm pretty happy with that, but yeah, prizing Shaymin Game 1 just really proved that I need to take a break from PTCGL, apparently. But, well, luckily I've got videos recorded until, obviously, this week. So it means I can spend the weekend and a few extra days just taking a break from it, because clearly it's not in my favour. If I was to personally say what I would improve about this deck, you know, Dawns could definitely be the Brock Scouting, but then you get less value off your Brocks, because obviously, well, you get less value in terms of basics compared to Brocks, is what I mean. So obviously, Brocks can find 2 basics or an evolution. Brocks obviously can find, as we saw in a couple of games, Latias plus, you know, the Joltik. We can even find, you know, if we start Latias, we can find Joltik plus Honedge, and then we can Poké Pad for a Honedge. You know, it's something to think about. You know, this archetype's interesting. I just don't think it's going to be a meta deck. It's more of like a rogue, funny deck that people will play. But with the amount of Unfair Stamp, you know, Judge, Harlequin, Lucian, even though we lost Iono to the format, we still have hand disruption, and that's just something you have to bear in mind. But honestly, I think this archetype is fun, but it's definitely something you'd keep at a locals level. It's definitely not a, you know, top tier meta deck anytime soon. But anyway, we'll leave it all to it for today. I really hope you enjoyed seeing the Doublade with Joltik, and I'll see you next time.